Edward Scissorhands is a story about a machine named Edward created by an elderly inventor, although before being completed the inventor passes away, leaving Edward incomplete with scissors for hands. In this scene we're introduced to Peg Boggs, a plucky suburban saleswoman who ventures into the derelict mansion and eventually brings Edward down from his seclusion and into the cookie-cutter community where she lives. The scene begins with a frustrated Peg who has retreated to her car after failing to sell any of her products to her neighbours. Desperate for a sale, she begins to consider the mysterious mansion on top of the hill. Peg peers into a rearview mirror which shows her the dark, jagged castle, which is juxtaposed against a bright, pastel, perfectly manicured neighbourhood, which enhances its frightening and mysterious appearance. Peg tapping the side of the mirror shows that she is hesitant to consider the castle as an option. The tapping indicates that she really has to think about it, suggesting that perhaps she believes that the castle may be dangerous. Peg's yellow car symbolises her optimism. However, the long shot of her driving towards the castle, where we see her getting smaller and smaller, almost as if she's being swallowed by the castle, ties into the themes that the castle and its inhabitants are being presumed as dangerous. The haunting castle is at the salience of the frame, with the road acting as a prominent leading line, drawing attention to its dark colour, ragged appearance and enormity, as opposed to the neighbourhood beneath it, which is polished and bright, representing right from the beginning that Edward would stand out, as is reflected in his home. Peg is greeted at the castle by a large gargoyle. Above her in the frame, Peg looks powerless against it. It leaves the frame swiftly as Peg drives straight past it, her car soon filling the frame, demonstrating Peg's persistence and the lack of power that the threatening ornaments have over her. Driving up, Peg looks around inquisitively, despite the ominous shadows being cast over her windscreen. Initially, the look on her face is of concern. However, the whimsical music tied in with her quickly becoming wide-eyed appears as she becomes more curious of her surroundings. Pulling up to the gate, Peg is in the lower third of the frame, with the castle taking up the rest of the frame, leading Peg to look insignificant and vulnerable. Peg's bright colours are minimal compared to the darkness of the castle, as opposed to the beginning where the lively pastels took up the majority of the landscape, proposing that she is in Edward's territory now. A butterfly flies overhead, alluding to what comes next. Through the gates is a beautiful garden filled with colour. The lush greenery represents that despite the detachment and fact that the castle's aesthetics do not conform to that of the pastel neighbourhood, it does not necessarily mean that Edward is lifeless or fearsome. Peg's body language and facial expressions show us she is bewildered at this discovery, but also pleased. A point of view shot of Edward looking down from the window at Peg in the garden takes us back to an eerie feeling as she again looks negligible. The wide shot shows us she is exposed and reminds us that she's alone, implying that we should be worried for Peg regardless of the pretty garden. The shot through the shrub creates an uneasy feeling. The angle is comparable to those utilised in horror films and creates the impression that Peg is being watched. Peg looking around her before she knocks confirms that she is still apprehensive and nervous of what is waiting for her inside the castle. As she walks in, the mansion is vast and empty, which is symbolic of Edward's isolation. Peg walking through the only stream of light in the room may represent that Peg is a light in Edward's life who comes to save him from his loneliness.